Welcome to the Joel Fleischman Happy Hour Podcast, episode number 65. We got a special episode, all things fantasy football as we go into the fantasy football season. With me on my left and your right, Andy Rettler. On my right, your left, Matt Gronk. Kavachensky.
Nailed it.
I did not, did I?
Nope.
What is it?
Kavachenki.
Kavachenky.
Yep.
Close. So close. Can probably spell it better than I can say it. AKA Gronk, we'll go with that. Drexel supply leader. Gronk runs the head coach for the New Berlin location. I'm me, Joel Fleischman. Welcome, guys. Cheers.
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 Prost.
Prost.
Hard 75, day 24. All things fantasy. Yeah, that's why he's AKA Gronk. Let's get up beer number 2. That horse medicine never had a chance.
I feel like I had to.
Yeah, it's fantasy football. All right, why did I bring you on? Let's get to the resumes. Let's get right to this episode, which usually we slow play the episode. We're going to get right to it. We will go, I believe, Andy, you have the longest history here perhaps, so we'll kind of go, all three of us will just go through our history.
Sure.
Give me a resume.
As far as fantasy football, probably started in, 1999-ish, give or take. Started with high school friends. Still are in some of the same leagues. Leagues have grown with college buddies.
Leagues, how many?
Currently in 4 that I guess I would count.
Nice.
I try to keep it at 4. Anything more than that's hard to pay attention to.
Redraft, Dynasty, Debbie, Keeper.
1 redraft, which is a work league.
Redraft means season to season. Again, for you 101 fantasy people, we'll try to keep you up to speed, but we may not be able to keep you totally up to speed here as we go rapid fire.
So I got
redraft.
1 redraft, 2 keepers, and a red shirt. Red shirt means you have to draft them the year prior, never play them, and you could keep them as a 3rd keeper. Another one is a 1-person keeper.
League,
yep.
Totally anti. That's a dead thing.
And then a small redraft, which is only 6 guys. Every year we're going to road trip to a Packer game. The winner of that league, the 5 losers pay for said ticket. So that's actually tough because every 6 team is stacked. I mean, you got studs.
Oh, you're loaded.
Yep. So I think that's actually more skill because you're like, am I playing Devontae or Stephon Diggs? You know, just stuff.
Playing matchups.
Right.
19 season on average 3 to 4 teams a league. So you've run 19. You've run 30 seasons of this, right? How many championships you got?
Oh, jeez, I didn't count. Gun to my head, 12, I'll say.
12 out of 30.
I don't know. Maybe that's low. Maybe that's high. No.
That's really good.
No. Because 3, 4. No, because that'd be. No, it's probably 60 teams worth, right? 3 or 4 a year. Some leagues have been for
3 times 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some less.
50 to 60. So you're 12. Yeah, you're a 50. So it's still high ratio.
I think on Yahoo, I said I've won 8 or some. Yeah, I don't know because.
Oh yeah, Yahoo tracks them, right?
But there's definitely some leagues that have been in last place because there's we'll talk about it, I'm sure, huge luck element, right? You can do everything you want, but injuries happen, lives win leagues.
Skill will get you to the playoffs. Luck lets you win a
What's
chance.
your longest running league that you know that you can kind of remember?
I think it's either 22 years or 21 years. It's either 2000, yeah. The draft we had last Saturday with a bunch of buddies, that's been going on for 15 years.
And you're commissioner of any of the 4?
Nope, want nothing to do with that.
Oh, good for you.
Yep.
Andy?
Started 1992 or 3. I don't remember for sure. My brother was in college. My brother Ben, who's in our current Dynasty League. Shout out Ben.
What's up, Ben?
I forgot the cameras over there. Yeah,
yes. Nice. He's. I don't even know how he heard about fantasy football. Started a league, all on paper. Had to go get the USA Today down on the street corner in Milwaukee from MSOE and do the box scores and send it out every week. If you wanted to pick somebody up, you had to call him, and he would say, "No, I already picked that guy up." You know how that goes. If you started fantasy football way back then, sure you did. First guy ever drafted was Steve Young. I had the first pick. Took Steve Young, who was the MVP of the league that year. Little twist he had in the league, which was really fun. You picked a coach, and if that team won, you got 5 more points. I had Jack Pardee from the Houston Oilers. They won 11 games, got 5 extra bonus points, but my team wasn't as good. My brother had, he'll tell you about it to this day, Jim Kelly, Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, Jerry Rice. Like, he has a Hall of Fame team and just ran through the league. Only because he was the only one that knew how this worked. And suckered us all into this. But I've been playing ever since and totally fell in love with it back then.
How many leagues are you in currently?
Just 2.
And redraft Devy Dynasty.
One redraft, one dynasty. That's it.
Let's get into what redraft Dynasty Devy is. Redraft, every year you start fresh, pick a team. I would highly recommend auction. Shout out to my son Marcus, who's 12. I was just in my first redraft auction league that he's been running since he's in 3rd grade as the commissioner. 3rd grade. Guy's a legend. Auction leagues are way better than doing the cheat sheets. Way better than the cheat sheets. I love auction leagues. And then Dynasty would be you take players that forever you have it's a full keeper roster year round trades, normally 25-ish on a roster forever. And then Devy incorporates college, but obviously aren't NFL rosters yet, so they kind of got to either do taxi squad or part of an expanded roster. New thing out there, if you haven't heard of it, which I love, is campus to Canton, which is a combination. It's about 50 players on a roster, and you literally have college and NFL players, and there's a college championship and an NFL championship, and that is your roster forever.
You can win both, potentially.
You can win both potentially, right? So there's a Bijan Robinson, if you don't know him, running back at Texas, chance of winning the Heisman, maybe the best.
Sophomore,
may have the best college season, but also has huge capital as an NFL star. There's a Devin O'Shane, is that how you say his name?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, small guy, 165, might not even make the NFL.
World-class sprinter.
Huge, he's going to have a huge year in college places for the college championship. Chance he doesn't make an NFL roster is just too small.
Deuce Vaughn, I would put in that category.
Deuce
as
Vaughn
well,
from Kansas
State.
Yeah, Kansas State, thank you.
He's a giant man?
Little guy.
Oh,
5'6".
5'6",
Right.
165,
Was his name
super
small?
fast.
Yeah, going to have lightning.
Vaughn.
He's going to have a lightning career, but will he ever make the NFL? So
He's like compact Darren Sproles.
Right. So again, trying to find the combinations of that. I think that is the future, potentially the future. There's also a thing called the Guillotine League.
Oh, those are cool.
Explain that, Andy.
Guillotine League, every week the lowest scorer is out, and then you bid on the players from their team, and you can add them to your team throughout the year, but you run out of money eventually, so you got to pick and choose. But you can't wait because you don't want to be the lowest scorer, but you got to go early, but you don't want to run out of money because, Priest Holmes is still out there, so I want to blast from the past. I want to wait to spend my money on him, or I want to take Dalvin Cook now. You got a lot of strategy there.
And then you have the league that blows up. What's that called?
Oh, what are they called? Not enterprise leagues. What are they called?
No.
No. What are those called? Shoot.
Infinity League. So anyways, the premise of the league, you can think of the name as I'm talking about it. The league is if you win back-to-back, so you pay $200 into the league for league fees every year. Every year there's a championship, and half that pot goes to the champion. The other half keeps building. If somebody wins back-to-back years, the league ceases to exist. It's a dynasty thing.
And that guy gets all the money in
And
the
he
pot
gets
forever.
all the money in that
and the
pot.
league
So
ends.
real quickly, that could be a 5,000. So everyone is against you if you're the champ.
Sure.
No one's trading with you. No one's helping you out. No one's talking to you, right? Because you're the guy they're coming to get. But you win back-to-back, you're going to win the regular season championship and that extra pot. What is that called?
Look, Marcus, look that up. Different types of fantasy leagues.
So now for the 37 people that are watching that are lost, this is way easier than it sounds. So I would encourage anyone to play in some capacity.
At this point, is somebody watching that isn't familiar with the concept?
Well, I'm going to tell a lot of people, so Carrie might tune in. She's not in a fantasy football league. Anyway.
Go to that cheat sheet war room one. That'll tell you.
Man.
So since my brother got me involved in fantasy football, he has since got me involved in fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
Which fantasy baseball and fantasy basketball are way more predictable than fantasy football. I don't know if you guys play any of them. Baseball's law of averages all day, every day. Eventually, a guy who hits 308 for career, if he bats 267 the first month, he will bat bonkers the rest of the year to get there if there's a history. Football is so random. There's so much more variability. Come on.
It's not even close.
Oh, no.
It's like
It's all
so
pretty generic stuff here.
Yeah, it's like how
whatever.
it works, flex position.
We'll figure it out.
Everyone's past that.
God, I can't.
What are the types of leagues? Just go to that Google question right there. Real quick, so go down.
They're basically two.
One more down. Is it?
No, I think that's
No,
the
it's
best
all
ball and weird
crap.
things. Okay.
All right, so anyways,
Best
well,
ball-
That's why you
Best
can't
balls in
trust
our league.
Google, that's why you're here.
my personal resume is as well very similar to Andy's. 1992, completely done by hand. I'm freshman in the dorms. 2 days before the season starts, hey, we're doing a fantasy draft. You want in? I'm all things beer, social, sports, dudes, right? Like, sure. I just show up like this, no notepad, no pen, and they start doing rounds of draft. Like I got the format down, right? They got like a magazine. A couple dudes got magazines. Some dudes got little mini spreadsheets. I just show up. I literally start just going bonkers in my head. Who on Madden?
That's
It's the rings
legit.
for
Keep going.
Who on Madden do I know? Like, I'm just running out of dudes. I'm like, okay, the Chiefs. So I remember having, who was the big running back of the Chiefs?
Priest Holmes?
No, the big dude.
Christian
McCoy.
Yeah, like Christian McCoy was my first pick because I was just like, oh no, he's good on Madden, is that right? Which is totally wrong. So I went horrible in the league, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get good at this.
This looks like Brady over
And
there.
he's got how many rings you got?
Oh, these?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know I put this on. These are from our Dynasty League, which has been in running for
So
11
we never
years.
finished your resume.
I've won that 4
Right, I'll
times.
bring mine back.
Nobody else has won more than 2, so I'm way ahead of everybody. So I treated myself this year after the pod, just to commemorate them. This one says Denario Alexander, if you remember him from the Chargers. He was popular for 4 weeks.
So how many years you been in this league?
11.
How many years have I been in that league?
5?
And I've won 2 championships. So all his ones before that are like the pre-merger era Packers Titletown bullshit. Just for a fun fact.
So this would be the Brett Favre one, the 2020.
Which one is the asterisk when I started the league? Is you got the asterisk one?
Well,
You only have one
here's what's funny.
champion.
You can only get so many different versions of customization ones that are cost effective. So I just bought for 2014 to commemorate that a Spurs championship ring, and it's Tim Duncan's. It's a replica Tim Duncan championship ring, but it does say 2014 on it. Keith Battenhorst, that's what he does. Shout out. It really is a Spurs.
So you're in how many leagues right now?
Just 2.
Just 2?
Just a family league and the Dynasty League and a redraft fantasy league for a family league.
Debbie League, actually, to be honest.
Debbie, yeah, true.
And how many years in both?
The other ones with our deer hunting group and aunts, uncles and cousins and whatnot, that's been a good 12, 13, 14, 15
How many
years maybe.
championships you have? You have 4 in Debbie, and how many in the Friends and Family League?
I got at least 4 there. But I used to play in my brother's league for a long time before the Debbie Dynasty ones. I won that one 3 or 4 times. And then our friend Eric Ankerson, shout out Eric, who's hosting the draft tomorrow.
Yes.
He was in a league with you, and I co-managed it with him, and we won that a couple times.
Right, yeah, I
whatever
was a
that means.
commissioner.
So, I don't know, a dozen.
Sorry,
But I've never really played more than 2 leagues a year.
Okay, yeah, and I've never done more than, I think I did 3 years 1 year. Shout out to Jason Strobel. I did his league, a different league, and maybe a third league. And that was too much. I couldn't remember every game. For me, 3 was too many because every game I either had the guy or I was going against the guy. Like the same dudes. Then I'm like cheering for Tyreek Hill, but not for Tyreek Hill.
That's where I'm at with 4. It's
Yeah,
pretty tough. So
it's
it's kind
really
of set
tough.
the line.
That's why I stick to 2. It's
Yeah,
enough.
I ended up like trying to make a trade for guys I didn't have. Like, you don't have that guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, oh, wrong league.
The funny thing is, think about, you did multiple leagues without this.
Yeah.
And now you can do everything on your phone. Like, you used to have to sit down at a computer or read a paper.
So let's go back to like my history, right?
Yep.
So again, and for me to be in multiple leagues is almost impossible because I'm super active. Like, you're never going to find a more active order than me. I'm going to have my whole roster flipped by week 6, good, bad, or indifferent. So yeah, 1992, I started. Show up to that with Christian McCoy, all by hand. Correct, USA Today. Reggie from Plymouth. Shout out to Reggie. He actually flunked out because I think of the basketball fantasy we did, all on a notepad.
Oh, no.
And there's games every day.
Yeah, and he had to do it all, and I think that's why he flunked out, because we're always going to his room and like, dude, did I beat Gronk this week? And he's like, I'm figuring it out. It literally took, even for the NFL, it took him almost all week to figure out if we won or lost based on the USA stuff. And yeah, I would actually, this is how psycho I was, I would actually, it's the first year I got hammered so bad, the rest of college, I would actually go to the library and like do microfiche or find like the Baltimore Sun. Because you could out-research guys. Back then you could out-study.
You could outwork
Because
everybody.
I would be like, okay, this dude's going on.
Now you can print off a
The
freaking
practice squad guy's coming up, he
sheet.
might start. I'm like, shit, pick him up.
Now
Because
you'll-
the other way was always Monday Night Football, which was great in the dorms, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dude gets hurt, somebody's starting. I got him! I got him! Commissioner would be like, nope, already got him. Like, so what, you talking to yourself? There was no waiver. It was just like, I got him! Oh, I picked him up. The commissioner would be like, oh, I picked him up last night. You picked up the third string frickin' dude that doesn't got a carry last night. Now he's got 149.
Now you can lose the auto draft.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even know if your dudes were good. It would be Sunday night, like on the ticker. Like, dude, 79 and a touch.
And I think fantasy has changed the NFL.
Oh,
The amount of people that
absolutely.
watch, and I mean,
Yeah.
that's why the bottom line you see carries. I think there's
Yeah.
a huge market, and that's, I mean, the NFL.
Well, Matthew Berry now is going to be on Sunday night. That's like
Yep,
the
Sunday
actually,
Night Football, he's like
they actually
sideline
embraced
reporter,
it,
yep.
Right, which
Which is
I'm not
smart.
a huge fan of him anymore,
Yep.
but totally smart. So yeah, I went all the way through that. I ran my own league for about 10 years. Been in that Debbie League for maybe 5 years. Jason Strobel's league, which was a very complicated, hey, Strobel doesn't like processes for all the people that are watching. His was like make up rules mid-season with like 75 rules and changes, and he had a salary cap, but it wasn't. I loved your league, Strobel, but I
Didn't you have to pay like real money for transactions, and you
Yeah,
had to collect all that to
but
pay
you only,
it
I
out?
think you only had Strobel to know all the rules, and they constantly change. But
He's
it was-
watching right now saying, no,
it's
that's
like,
no,
they
no.
never changed the rules. It was like you had like 12 total transactions a year, and maybe every transaction got more expensive. I forgot how it was. So yeah, my history was hilarious when I ran my own league for maybe 10 years or 12 years. I believe 5 years in a row I was a runner-up Super Bowl champ, which is like crazy. I was like the Buffalo Bills, even worse of that. My favorite team ever was Priest Holmes and Clinton Portis. I had on the same
Love
team.
Portis.
That's a good-
And them dudes were a hundo, 100 receiving, 100 rushing, and a touch. Sometimes by halftime together. That was just an lights out year.
We've mentioned Priest Holmes like 5 times already.
Yeah, he was an all-timer besides LT. I've never had a
And he was a backup running back for Baltimore when he started. Yep.
Yep.
My problem is
He was the Kurt Warner year when Kurt Warner became a thing. When Trent Green got hurt, those two blew up the same year. 'Cause only reason I remember that, I played in a league with a bunch of lackeys, and one dude had both of those guys and just ran through the lead.
Yeah, my problem has always been, still is today, I trade too much. I give good guys before they're good. I'm always on opportunities and possibilities besides real stats, but trying to get wiser with all that. So
What's
that's
the
kinda my
what's the
background.
worst trade you guys have all made?
Oh wow,
We made a good
Pretty
one.
question.
I traded Myles Gaskin for Todd Gurley. I don't think Todd
Again, in the
Gurley.
Dynasty Debbie
Todd
league.
Gurley never played a game again. But Myles Gaskin had 6 good weeks, but he died really quickly. Not worst trade, just a funny, like ridiculous, stupid thing for
I have
no reason.
in at least in that 5 years in Dynasty, I haven't had an all-time. Oh my God, that guy blew. Especially in Debbie, you can do that. Like all-time, that guy blew up, and I didn't think he was anything because you have these domino consequences, right? 10 years, 8 years. I haven't had an absolute. Oh my God, that blew up in my face.
I'm sure I have a bunch I don't remember, but I traded Russell Wilson for a future 2nd-round pick. Man, I'm regretting that this year.
Right.
I didn't regret it last year. I did it 2 or 3 years ago at the time, seemed like, but now that's how Debbie works though. And
Yeah.
dynasties, like you don't know how that's going to play out long term.
I mean, I think you did one which was just a small minor boo-boo was Bateman for Tylan Wallace. Is that right?
No,
Opposite.
I did. Both still were in college. Tylan Wallace, I did Amon-Ra St. Brown for Tylan Wallace.
Right.
And I think I gave up a pick on
Right.
top of it.
Right.
Because I thought Tylan Wallace was going to be better. Tylan Wallace doesn't play. Amon-Ra St. Brown's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah,
It was for
that's a good
13,
one.
13 games, who knows? But yeah,
Yeah.
I like him.
Better than Tylan Wallace.
Right.
Well,
right.
and this is like my favorite go-to story in Debbie currently. So I went back-to-back championships. I have committed that if I'm going to win a 3rd championship, I'm quitting the league and just mic dropping it because it'd be 3 championships in 5 years, right? So I have probably my worst pick was Clyde Edwards-Helaire 101. So I'm coming off back-to-back championships. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire as 101.
And who went
Consensus
to?
one.
Jonathan Taylor.
No.
Oh, no.
No, Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase went to. Well, it's while still in
The
college.
year before, I took Travis Etienne instead of Jonathan Taylor.
That's
Etienne
right.
stays in college, still hasn't played it down. Now Jonathan Taylor's the go, but I almost put Paris Campbell. The draft you can't worry about, but bad trade-wise. So what happened to me was I'm playing the season all last year, going for my 3rd championship. I made a huge trade for Javonte Williams, gave up 8 or 9 draft picks, bunch of dudes, gave up Mark Andrews.
It was for
that's probably
the
worst
second
one.
pick in the draft, not
Second
for
pick in the draft, which
yeah.
I knew was going to be Kyle Pitts or Javonte. I thought I was going to take Javonte. He took Pitts. I was actually chasing Pitts a little heavier. My backup plan was Javonte, which worked out. But I gave up. I threw in Mark Andrews as a filler. I'm like, whatever, he's a tight end. You can have him. I'm like, just to get the trade done, you can have him too. And it was 8 or 9 picks just to get Javonte. I had DK, Metcalf, AJ Brown, CEH, Javonte. It was like literally my final piece of my 3rd championship in a row. Limp into the season, I'm 2-4, 3-5, right, whatever. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Blow it up.
And I went nuclear blow up. Nuclear. So right now, there's 25 roster spots. I have 4 guys in the NFL. Going into the draft tomorrow night, I have 7 of the 14 top picks. My team will not
Rebuild.
be good this year, possibly not next year. In Debbie, when you're rebuilding, you're talking 24, 20, 25. But of the top 20 prospects, I will by tomorrow night probably have, 15 of them?
Mhm.
And if
Yeah,
you
I
hit
can't-
on 13 of them, you're probably going to trade 11 away anyway.
Hit rate's around 25%. Is that about right? 25 to 50.
I used to write for a
Like
website
starters?
called Dynasty Football Warehouse. I did a study on this once.
There you go.
The top 3 picks, you have a 50% hit rate. When you get from 4 to 11, it goes down to 25. After that, you're in the teens and 10s for rookies coming in on a Dynasty League.
But I think if Joel hits, he'll see the
The,
potential. in
the
someone
difference
else.
is that wasn't Debbie back then. That was a year by year
Yeah, right,
analysis.
right. So rookies.
You're talking all the 5-star recruits and top three picks every year. So it's different. It's hard to explain.
Hit ratio is probably 50-50-ish, maybe a little less. And again, you're looking at, are they on your roster? Are they starters? Or are they Hall of Famers?
Sure.
Like I'm only chasing this for true dynasty at this point. Like I'm taking all risk, right? I'm taking all. This dude could be a Hall of Famer, which a lot of time leads to, for you, Debbie newbies, dynasty newbies, 5-star dudes, and this is crazy. And again,
This is such a weird podcast.
but even you, mom and dad, you sport freaks, guess what? If you ain't a 5-star dude, and 5-star means you were 24/7, they rate you in high school. If you're not a 5-star dude, the odds of you being a stud in the NFL is pretty low. And the odds of you being because 5-star means you're a projected NFL first-round pick in high school. The 5-star guys tend to stay, especially like running backs, tend to stay 5-star guys.
Sure.
You're 215, 6'1", and can run a 4.4 in high school. Yeah, you're a dude. If you're like a 3-star and you're going to grind your way to the NFL, there's a million dudes like that.
Right.
Very low. So I look at 5-star guys, little strategy, 5-star guys coming out of high school is kind of my deal. Which is, again, crazy because they're coming out of high school when I'm drafting them.
That is crazy.
Yeah, fun stuff. All right, sorry. Got kind of hijacked that for a second. Other question, Marcus? You go ahead.
Just Gronk, do you have a bad trade at all?
Yeah.
Again, I'm sure I have plenty. None that punch me in the face right now, but no, I'm sure I've got plenty. But
Best trades.
I'm the inverse of Joel because I always, again, I get married to the guys that I drafted. I'm like, oh, I gotta see this through, right? He's gonna turn it around, and by the time if I am 3 and 5 in the league, I'm like, well, I'm going down with the ship now. So like,
Yeah.
I entertain trades a lot, put them together, but I probably pull the trigger on a couple a year, if that, in every league, honestly.
But I do too
you're the
much.
married guy. You're the married guy. You're the trade guy. What are you then?
I don't know, the hermit that lives in a cave and just trying to figure
The
shit.
nerd guy? 'Cause you know it all.
Yeah, probably that. That's probably good. That's probably a good description. Like really study it and go, yep, that's a good move. Year too early, better than year too late. That kind of stuff for sure. Yep.
Yeah, he's a spreadsheet strategy guy. Like it all works in his formula.
They always say you can't go for it and rebuild at the same. You can't be a championship team and rebuild at the same time. And I disagree with that. I think you can. I feel like I've been doing that for 10 years, but I might be the only person with that formula.
Is your right hand sore yet?
No, it feels good.
Feels good.
Feels good.
Wait.
It's like this is like 10,000 carats of gold.
Okay, we
Diamonds.
mentioned Priest Holmes. Let's do some quick stuff here. Favorite fantasy guy of all time?
I got two. One, it's Antonio Brown. When he was in his prime, I had him for 3. I mean, he went on a run. He was a bad dude. And then Jamal Charles. I love the player. And what he did to the team, it was, again, he had 4 points in the fourth quarter and somehow finished with 36 on the game. He was
Never
just,
had either of those guys on any of my teams ever.
and they were different.
Ever, yeah, for sure. LaDainian Tomlinson. Never had him either, but
Never had
man,
him.
he
Never had him in
was,
any
every
format.
time I played, I'm like, that's a loss.
Yep.
Yeah, never had
Lost.
any format.
Nope, never did. Never could get that pick.
Peak Randy Moss was
Oh my God, I had him
So fun.
a lot. I used to go against the grain way back when in the early 2000s. It was always go running back,
Right.
right? I used to go Terrell Owens, Randy Moss,
Love
Chad
Terrell,
Johnson,
Yeah. Ocho Stigma.
in those order.
That time
Somewhere.
frame, Marshall Falk was
Marshall
unbelievable.
Oh,
as well.
Marshall Falk was
Yep.
great. Absolutely. Like,
Yep.
and I literally just was doing it with Jerry Rice peak. Barely, right? I mean, that was close in 92,
Yep,
93. You had Jerry Rice, that was absolute cheap.
What's your stance on Packers? I never draft Packers. I never have Packers because I can't mix Harp with whatever that is.
I'm a trade guy.
I don't.
So I just did that at Marcus's league because it's 7th graders, so they're 12-year-olds, which I still try to dominate, right? Because that's just a competitive spirit. I draft Packers only because I know I'm going to trade them. I love having them for like a week or two, and then I kind of get heartfelt about them, and I know somebody else is too, and then I flip it for what I feel is like a premium, because you're playing premium for local guys.
So I took Rodgers last year. Again, it's great when they're good and bad. It's
It's
hard.
a
when
double
they're-
whammy when they suck.
But it is no matter
I
what.
think the
'Cause
Packers' defense is really fun if they don't suck. Like,
Well,
like
defenses
Packers
are
defense.
whatever. You got 2 or 3 that.
But that's the fun time
Yeah.
when they're doing like a
Yep.
punt return to one time.
I take that back.
An
I've
interception
had
for a
the
touchdown.
yeah.
Packers D is
Oh.
fun because
Sure.
it's not
You got
costing
nothing to
much,
lose.
nothing to lose, and
Yeah.
when it happens, you're cheering for the Packers, and you're like, that's 6 points.
But like Dorsey Levens had an amazing fantasy year,
Yeah.
1 or 2 years. He
But
was
if you
like
don't
100%.
have him, I'm watching the Pack game every week, and if Rodgers is carving him up, and I'm like, God damn it! My
But
father
I'm
was
kinda
what's the
like you,
matter?
So do you draft Packers?
But I'm okay with it. Like it's a win-win.
If it works out, I don't gravitate towards them.
Okay.
If there's a value at that pick, whether it's Lazard again, it's hard in a hometown league because they all usually go way earlier than
Right.
other
Right.
leagues.
Where are you at with Lazard? Is he wide receiver 1? What are you predicting for him this year?
Gun to my head,
Probably good.
1,108.
Oh my God, I'll take the
Whoa.
under on both.
That's okay. We can make that bet. Devontae Adams wasn't Devontae Adams 3 years in. I'm not saying Lazard is Devontae Adams. Someone's going to be wildly successful in that office. I don't think he's going to spread it out that much. I think you could easily pencil it in for that. And I could be grossly wrong. There's a lot of people who get paid to do this, but
I know the sexy thing right now is A.J. Dillon's overtaking Aaron Jones. I'm a little contrarian. I think Aaron Jones, and again, the comps, if you watch what he did last year without Devontae, which is sometimes overstated, I think Aaron Jones is on pace for 80 balls.
I think
I
they're
think if he plays 16 games or more, he's getting 1,500 yards total.
Yep.
Yeah, I would pick him. Again, if you want to tip, we're all signing off. I'd pick Aaron Jones.
I
Maybe
do-
not top 5, but that next tier down from CMC Henry level, like 5, 6, 7. I'm totally comfortable with Aaron Jones.
I think you
And
get him
he's
in the
going
s-
like 10, 12.
I think you get him in the
and
second
I actually
round.
think the opposite weird thing in Packer homer leagues, everyone's like, no, A.J. Dillon's taking over, stay away from Jones. I'd go the opposite.
I think if you get Jones in the second, there's extreme value there. I do think Dillon will eat as well. I think he might have 800 on the ground. I think you can plug and play both.
I think this is the LaFleur offense finally, and they're just going to really spread it out. Yeah, I'm LaFleur.
Marcus
Wide
thinks
receiver 3. I don't think you're starting him by week 12.
Marcus thinks Dobbs is going for 1,108.
I mean, he might.
in a dynasty.
I never said that.
in a dynasty league with rookies, where do you put Dobbs? Like rookies only, not Debbie.
Of all the rookie wide receivers?
Right, all the rookie and running back wide receivers, right? You got Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Drake London, Sky Moore, Christian. Okay, let's just make it easy because this might be hard
Pickens.
for you guys. Do you do Christian Watson or Dobbs?
I would do Dubs.
Only because that's what we've seen.
Can I
mean,
still call him Doobs? Because that's how it's spelled?
No, you just call him Romeo.
Okay.
just based on draft capital, when every other NFL team saw, I would say Watson. We haven't seen a single thing, hasn't been on the field yet, so it's hard to say that. Obviously, Doobs is playing well, so he's the sexy pick, but I would say Watson, just based on follow the money, right?
Right, yeah, it is follow the draft cap. We call it draft cap.
How many
but
picks did
that's
they
the
take?
circles.
Right.
Doobs or Watson ahead of. Where did Watson go? Where did George Pickens go? They traded up to get Watson, right?
Correct.
They could have had George
They could have
Pickens.
Pickens, 'cause they could have 3 Georgia guys.
But
with the first 3
I
picks.
think he's crazy.
Do you
Like he's like Antonio Brown
Well,
crazy.
that was the
Who
whole
is?
mantra was that there's
Pickens.
some things.
Yeah, correct, that could be. Which
Huh.
is sometimes works out for a lot of,
Yeah.
alpha
Kind of
male
wide receivers.
Right.
Anybody, view forward, we'll start maybe even bringing Marcus in a little bit here. Anybody pay for subscriptions to fantasy sites for info?
Never have.
I pay one site, they're $29 a year, $39 a year. I always thought in college when it was paper I could out hustle somebody. I'm still looking for ways to out hustle people. Again, I'm just a mad hustler. Like I always think I can do more research, more data. I can figure out the next do before anybody else, and I do think that website gives me just a little inkling of bonus, and it's $30.
You're gonna say what site that is?
Dynasty
I thought
Dynasty
you were
Warehouse.
just gonna keep it under.
No, it's one of those things no one else is going to pay $30, so they don't give a shit. Half the people don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
I'm an aggregate guy. I follow a lot of people on Twitter, read everything, kind of just track it, bookmark it, and go, this is kind of the consensus, and then form my own opinion, which is sometimes with consensus, sometimes against it, depending on.
I think you
what
take a
see.
little bit of that, trust your gut. I mean, otherwise,
Yeah, it's got to be a combo.
I also have, over the years, just take guys I think are fun.
sure.
Because it's just more fun.
As you should.
That
It's
way,
fantasy,
like,
right?
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's a 50-50 shot half the time anyways.
And this is like a life thing, but also fantasy football. I absolutely suffer paralysis from analysis too.
Mhm.
Because you Google, especially Debbie guys, you Google Bijan Robinson, all you're going to get is love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, right now, if you're watching Twitter, listening to Twitter, who's getting slammed the most right now? Traylon Burks. Actually getting roasted on the internet, bust, all this stuff. We have no idea.
Nope.
And it's just paralysis by analysis.
You said take dudes you
And
like.
self-serving data, right? What do you call it?
Confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias, right? Like I can say Traylon Burks sucks. Traylon Burks is a rookie of the year. Both are going to be true on the internet, right? So if you want Traylon Burks to be good, make him good.
You'll
Again,
read,
go a little bit on
you'll read the stuff that confirms what you already
Right,
think about him. You'll
absolutely.
scroll past whatever you don't agree with.
Like that guy's an idiot.
What were we going to say about fun?
Yeah.
That's part of it, taking guys you like. But then there's guys I won't touch who I actually dislike, or if they burn me the year previously.
Who don't you like right now? Who's like off your radar right now?
I'm just looking at 12, so I just won't touch Tom Brady. I think Tampa Tom is a little bit cooler. I just didn't like. No, I just don't like.
Let's do it this way.
him.
Do like a top 10 running back that's kind of on your do not draft list.
This year?
This year.
Only this year, redraft only.
Yep. So you're talking, Barkley, McCaffrey, Taylor, Dalvin Cook, Javonte, Derrick Henry.
I traded you Javonte, so I have to say that almost. I'm scared. I would be scared to death of Javonte being my running back one.
Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift.
Nothing has changed in that running. Nothing has changed in the Broncos
Kamara.
offense. And I think we do this every year with some running back. We just anoint Javonte the guy, and nothing has been done. But Melvin Gordon re-signed.
I think he will. It's going to take a little time based off that list. It'd be
Like,
Swift would be my guy.
Oh,
yeah, I think it's something that you shouldn't do, assuming someone's going to get injured so your guy can soar.
Nope, not injured.
But I think that happens I do think that happens a lot in drafts. Like they're saying, take Olave so when Michael Thomas blows up his hamstring in week 8, he's going to be awesome. Like, you just wait for that? Like, that's not a certain. Go ahead.
I like Melvin Gordon, injury aside. I think Javonte's more talented today, so I
Right.
think he'll just overtake that.
So which one what's your bust?
I stay away from DeAndre Swift on that list.
Oh, I love Swift. I put him in my top 5 for sure, but I would go, I'm really, really off the board here is Naji Harris. Only because Roethlisberger couldn't throw the ball downfield. So you got so many checkdowns. Their offensive line is
I
horrible.
don't disagree.
The game scripts are going to be bad. They're not going to run a lot. The rookie quarterbacks don't lean on running backs. They like to throw to tight ends. Like Naji Harris is going to underperform ADP. by far.
I like Naji because he's going to touch the ball, injuries aside, 300 plus times. I don't think he's wildly efficient, but I think his floor is very, very high.
I would put Dalvin Cook in that category too. He's in that age cliff. Like I think he's.
I'm just kind of staying with subject just for a second. I have all those guys, and I studied Debbie a ton. The NFL next year is going to have an unbelievable, brand new. Again, for you want to looking for next year, already looking for even redrafts next year. The rookie running back class is an rookie running backs 2023 all-time class. It's going to redefine the NFL. If you look at your top 10 running backs, they're all about 27, 28. They're done. They're toast. Cook's toast. Mixon's toast. Henry's toast. Eckler's totally toast. So who's going to overtake the NFL? They're all going to be 27. They're all like
28.
28.
Some of them.
28, some of them.
By
They're
the
all
way-
done. So Bijan Robinson, Zach Evans, Tank Bigsby, Jamar Gibbs are all going to overtake the league, become 3-down running backs, making running backs great again. That's my
Kendall Milton, sleeper. By the way, you said
Not
Tom Brady.
fair.
This is the other goat. It's Trent Dilfer. It's not Tom Brady. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
This is Robert Brooks, not Romeo Dobbs.
I disagree.
I won't turn around. Or class of 87.
Tom's forever. Robert who?
Yeah, Sean Tucker actually could be really good.
Yep. Nate Singleton,
Yeah.
Penn State.
Worst losses, best wins of all time. Won by .1 or took down your brother. Or
I got 2. Last year I won the league. I was going in, don't quote me on the points, I was going into Monday Night Football. Maybe this is why I like Naji a little bit. I can't remember what I was down by. 36 points, something obscene. And Naji ended up scoring 41. Took like a 65-yard run to the house. Scored in the last quarter, Roethlisberger's last game. I'm like, they're going to take a knee. He never should have scored. I probably shouldn't have won. A while ago, God, just probably 5-6 years ago, living in a duplex with Carrie. I was down by 12 points going into Monday Night Football. I was going against Stafford, and I had Justin Tucker. Tucker hit 6 field goals, outscored Stafford by 12. I won the league based off of Justin Tucker's foot. I probably should buy a Tucker jersey for my basement.
That's pretty
but
big.
He's my dynasty kicker. Has been for 10 years.
He's pretty good at it.
Joe Horn, cell phone game.
Ooh.
I needed like 30 points, and he scored like 3 touch. It was the cell phone game too, and it was my brother in the playoffs to beat him. It was phenomenal. He still remembers it, and he's still mad about it. Still mad about it.
I don't have any real memories like that besides just where I have a really, really good team, and then you lose. If you know me, I'm super competitive, and I don't even care if I win. I just really don't want to lose. It's just those playoff games in fantasy where you just see it slipping away.
Honestly, in
You're like,
almost,
that dude got 8, tight end gets 4, other dude gets like some YOLO rando 6 field goals. You're like, this isn't happening for me.
in almost every league, for me, it's
Scares me.
not often the best team wins the league.
No.
They'll run the table throughout the season,
Right.
and somehow stub their toes.
I've seen at least 4 times where it did. At least 4. But I don't remember what years they were.
That does help in Dynasty and Debbie. It does help where you're like, well, he actually has some dudes.
Right.
You actually got to have some dudes, right?
Absolutely, yep.
So I'll give Andy a little bit of credit on that. However, again, most of these were pre me being in the league, so we'll leave it at that. And last year he won the league. Huge asterisk for him last year, considering I did a nuclear blow up, so I don't consider myself.
But I did.
I really only competed against.
I did set a record of most points ever
That is true.
in the league, so
But I
it
also
was
wasn't trying.
legitimate. No
I
matter
really
how much
only
you went
competed
illegitimate
against you for
sizing.
4 years in that league, taking over the worst team in the league.
That was not the
and I
worst
won
team.
2
That
leagues.
was not the worst team in the league. There are some really
one
bad
of,
teams.
one of. My best player was like Corey Coleman.
That's not true.
Ish. I had Keenan Allen, I guess.
Keenan Allen.
Any other Drexel guys in that league?
Eric Kane?
Eric Kane. Shout out to Eric Kane.
Is he the only one?
Yeah, for now.
He was an expansion franchise. Still is.
Yeah.
We got a work league. That's one of my 4. That's probably the most fun league.
Who's other than that? Kleisner?
Kleisner,
Koss,
Spuda, Luke, Troy.
Fisher in that? No.
Yep, Fisher, Danimal, Bama. I lost count. Did I
What's your
mention
best way to play fantasy on a Sunday? Like, do you have your phone? You got laptops?
I don't look.
You got tickers? You don't look? You do look? You're Sunday night obsessed, but by Sunday night you're obsessed, right? I mean, you stay up till 11 and watch it.
I'm not home on the weekends much. My kids are in all kinds of stuff, so I run around a lot.
Really
If I'm home, I love putting Red Zone on, but not looking.
Oh, yeah,
and just
Red
watching
Zone.
the ticker, just kind of doing math on who I play and kind of going.
You?
It's hard because again with so many leagues now, it's hard to get excited because you have this guy and you're going
He's
against
helping
this
you
guy.
here and hurting you there.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
why
ideally,
I
I got Red Zone on TV over here. Packers first and foremost. So I don't.
So I have shout out to Jackson and Marcus. I got an 18-year-old boy and a 12-year-old boy, Marcus and Jackson, and they love fantasy football. So they're literally just in the basement. We have 3 TVs set up. One's got Red Zone on, 2 games are on, so we have 3 screens going. And I don't really need to get updates on my phone because I just hear screaming.
Sure.
Jamar Chase, 70 yards. But I have gotten caught up, and it sounds like guys don't, which I don't believe. I have gotten caught up on the Sunday night. I'm on Twitter to hear all the comments, but then I'm doing the refresh the last, like it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm refreshing it every 6 seconds because it's, I need 0.6 yards and I need 0.7 yards. And that has happened to me. I got caught up in that game where you're like, last drive, I need 30 yards from Yahoo. Jimmy Jones, Marvin Jones, right, in a Lions game, and I'm refreshed.
I love not knowing because in the morning when the alarm rings, I get out of bed like this because I want to look. Like I'm up so fast and so energized
it's
immediately.
really
so
bad.
I just save it for the morning.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
it's really
see
bad.
it.
It's
Oh,
boring.
really? No, I love that.
I will do it if I'm wound up, and I don't do it every week, but if I'm wound up, I'll have old man bathroom break at like 1 a.m., grab my phone, go to the bathroom, and be like, what the hell happened? I'm like, no effing way, I was up 50. Right, so I won't even wait till my 4 a.m. alarm. I'll literally be doing that like at 1 a.m.
I stay up. Carrie's like, go to bed. I was like, honey, I need one more catch off Fryermuth or whoever.
See,
and I'm
so
gonna,
you do that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
chase
Do you
it
ever
up.
feel while watching it that it makes it worse? Or if you leave it alone, you're like, maybe my guy will play better as opposed to sitting there and...
Superstitious?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't. Do you do that?
I do, yeah. In the past. Yeah.
You're a superstitious guy?
That's why I'm kind of sitting out on a little break from fantasy football.
All right.
Like if you skip the second step on the way downstairs, your guy does better. Yeah,
Correct.
that kind of
I
stuff.
actually quit as well for a year or two because it was chewing me up, like for no reason.
I really got to pee, but my guys are doing really well, so I'm going to hold it till the game's over.
It's not like that. But,
That's why I don't watch. Like I don't look. I just kind of do mental math and be like, yeah, I'm ahead by 10, down by 4, whatever. Try not to think about it too much.
absolutely.
Should we do sleepers by position? Like,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think
We'll
let's
wrap up.
let's
We're-
help
we're
the
at that-
people.
This is the last.
Let's help the people
It's
here.
kind of our last agenda topic, and then we're going to bust out of this thing.
So hold on. When you say sleepers, because sleeper, hard of a sleeper now. Because so are you saying
Yeah,
that,
yeah. There's no sleepers with all the information on that.
Yeah.
Let's
Like
do it
round
this way.
6 later,
There's-
whatever?
yeah,
Contrarian
there's-
picks more like that.
Or
ADP
a
then?
guy, yeah, like they'll all perform where they're being drafted.
So
Okay.
ADP means average draft position.
Yep.
For those of you that aren't obsessed with this, you're all like
Sure.
a lot of us. But ADP means who are you above? It'd be ADP above consensus is how the fantasy people terms. People are making a living off of this, So
So running backs, like second, third, fourth round running backs, you think are gonna
or just above consensus.
or above?
right?
Oh yeah, like number 12. Like say you think Javante's 12, but he's
Yeah.
gonna be number 1 RB. Who's your guy?
I mean, I had mentioned Aaron Jones would be my number
That's
one
a good
target
one.
if I was out there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think he's still like a 900-yard, 6-touchdown guy. If you get him in the 7th round, I see no why. He's your every week flex dude potentially.
Every year a running back finishes top 12,
Mhm.
right? Brees Hall's my guy. Brees Hall will.
The rookie, yeah.
Yep, he'll be good.
It's not bad. I think J.K. Dobbins. People
You
again
think so?
coming off injury, people always forget how good he was. Now he doesn't get the touchdowns because of Lamar, but dude, they run the ball like a shit ton, and people forget how good he was on a weekly basis.
Still kind of hurt. JK.
Yeah.
He's back. Still kind of hurt.
Kind of
Supposedly, we don't really know
Yep.
that. I think anytime you see a guy coming off injury the next year, Chris Godwin's an opportunity. That's wide receiver. Go ahead.
I do. So this isn't a sleeper. I do think Zeke is going to provide value. I think he's fallen so far. I know it sounds crazy. You can give him a second,
I
third
think he's
round.
dead.
I don't. I think he's going to provide
He does not
value.
look good.
And I like Chase Edmonds out of Miami. He's you can get him really, really late, and I think you're going to be able to play him in most lineups later on in the season.
I had him.
Miles
I
Gaffney
traded
burned
him.
him so many
I
times.
traded him for basically nothing. I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember who. Doesn't matter.
Pittman came.
Every time he's got an opportunity, he's fallen flat on his face. I don't believe in him at all. We disagree a lot.
That's okay.
We disagree on all of this.
Okay, cool. I can't wait to watch this in 9 months.
No, I had Travis Etienne on my W team for 2 years. Never got to see him. I actually traded him again. That's what I do, right? I sit with two guys. Never have seen him to get a carry. Couldn't even be on my team for one fantasy point after being on my roster for 2 years. I think Etienne has a chance to be CMC light. Like to me, I chase upside. I either chase like rock solid. Okay, there's terms in the fantasy world. High floor,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think I chase
High
guys that
floor,
have a very
high
high
ceiling.
floor, which means weekly, like a CNH I mentioned, they're going to give you 10 to 12 no matter what.
Mhm.
Like that's a high floor. I don't think he has a real high ceiling,
There's
but I do think Etienne has a very high ceiling. There is a chance
Agreed.
he's CMC.
high floor, high ceiling. Those
I
are the
don't know if
best
he's got a
guys.
high floor. He may just get a couple, like three catches, 24 yards, 5 carries, 16 yards. But I think his ceiling is CMC light.
Hmm.
You know, there could be he could be having 7 catches, 70 yards receiving, 70 yards rushing, and a touch. Like that could happen.
Sure.
Okay, are we going to move on to wide receivers?
Wide receivers.
I mentioned Chris Godwin. I think coming off an injury, everybody's forgot about him. Dude's an absolute stud.
So DK Metcalf, because he has no quarterback, is like he is that dude. Like
just falling
he's
off.
like 4th, 5th round dude, right? And because he's catching passes from Drew Lock or Geno Smith or whoever's going to throw it, he's still going to just throw it up to him. And their defense stinks. They're going to be passing like crazy.
So sometimes remember, the worse the quarterback, the more they lock on one target.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Also,
DJ Moore had 160 targets last year.
Also, the worse the quarterback, the more you're losing, and the more in the fourth
Yeah,
quarter you're
chunk it,
playing in
yeah.
garbage time, and all you do is pass. And that's when the defense is just sagging off, trying to run timeout. Yeah. So sign me up for DK Metcalf.
Darrell Mooney. Again,
Mooney.
I think Bears generally in Wisconsin don't get picked.
Yep.
So I like Mooney. I think he's way under the radar. He's going to get balls.
Brandon Ayuk is
Mooney would be that guy.
way low. I think he's good. It seems like he has a connection with Trey Lance. I don't know how much they're going to pass though, so maybe.
That's a
maybe
little
not.
problem. They literally
The volume might not be
I
there.
mean, what's Trey Lance's upside for passing touchdowns? 20.
Less than Lamar Jackson.
Ex-Bear, I do like Allen Robinson a lot, and he burned a lot of people last year.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be
absolutely.
successful.
That's a good one.
Absolutely.
Someone you can get almost for free, Robert Woods.
I was going to say Bobby
Okay,
Trees.
yeah, I like him in Tennessee. He's going to be the number one. Again, not really sexy. He can be almost free, and I think he's going to make it in your starting lineup. I do.
Cool.
What about Sammy Watkins? I mean, nobody's talking about him. I know
No.
it's a real risk.
Do you think he's going to make the roster?
I don't.
Make the roster.
I like
I
Rashad
don't
Bateman.
think so either.
I like Bateman a lot too. I think
I can't get there on Bateman due to passing volume in Baltimore.
that's fair.
And funny story, go back to Dynasty. There was a trade on the board for me. I had Rashad Bateman. I picked him when he was at Minnesota for the 4th pick in the draft. And as soon as I saw he went to Baltimore, I went and accepted it quicker than the guy could revoke it.
I'm very worried about even Isaiah Likely, who's just killing the preseason. So they're basically going to have the Hunter Henry they wanted, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson's going to just run it in a ton of time. What's left for Bateman? 65 yards and 5 touches.
I love Bateman's talent. I don't like the situation.
65 yards over. That doesn't sound like because it's not a lot.
Right.
That's a 1,200-yard guy at the end of the year. Oh, cool, 1,200 yards.
Right. Again, to me, that's a high floor guy. I'm at this point in the season, I'm chasing mostly high ceilings.
But if
I want my starters
anyone,
to be high ceilings.
if you look at your roster at the end of the year, you got 3 dudes that got 1,200
Oh,
yards
yeah.
receiving. I'm in a good spot, right? Yeah, yeah.
Michael Pittman, you on him at his
Love him.
price?
Super.
Love him.
At
Yeah,
his
I think
price?
Matt Ryan's
Yep.
going to be great.
Love
I love it. It depends on the price. In the 7th grade auction league,
Yep.
they valued him as a top wide receiver.
Oh, they did?
Because again, I think every website calls him the sleeper to get,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
so
yeah.
you're so overslept on that you're now over ADP.
Right.
Elijah Moore, you in on him at price?
I know you have him and love him.
I like him.
I like him a lot. Wilson just makes me a little bit nervous. That's all.
I would love to
You do
how
know that
he
A.J.
was-
Brown said Elijah Moore is better than A.J. Brown,
Yeah,
just for the record.
back in the day.
A.J. Brown said Elijah Moore.
They were all on the same page.
Ole Miss,
DK,
yeah.
Yeah, right. So whoever that quarterback is, do you guys know? Has to be the world's. I mean, he must be like a raging
I don't remember
alcoholic.
who it was.
He must be like just sitting in alone in a basement, going, "I'm the worst."
I think
player.
he
I'm the
is.
worst D1 quarterback.
He had a
ever."
bunch of legal things going on. Who was that
Yeah, of
quarterback?
course, he feels awful. I had DK, AJ Brown, Elijah Moore, and we were awful.
Somebody in Cleveland's going to get 900 yards. Is it Peoples-Jones?
Are we sure?
David Njoku.
You think so?
No.
Well, let's move on to tight end.
Someone
Tight end.
asked him.
Good segue.
Yeah,
Sure.
let's move on to tight end.
And I say
will
Njoku
say
because
Kyle Pitts is going to go absolutely nuclear this year, rechange the game. He's Calvin Johnson in a tight end situation. Bonkers. Take him in the first round confidently and laugh at all your buddies.
I wouldn't
You could
do.
probably get him in the second. Don't take him in the first.
I would say I
Take him in the
wouldn't do
second
that.
confidently. I take him before Kelsey.
Sadly, I agree with everything you said. I would not take him in the first, but I do think he's going to be an
I'm
absolute
sad
monster.
because he's got him in Debbie.
You want to go
He's a
old-fashioned
monster.
sleeper before the internet.
Right.
I got two guys. Brevin Jordan,
Yeah, absolutely.
like love him.
Texans.
Yeah, like someone's going to catch passes there. Davis Mills isn't as bad, I don't think, as people think.
Mhm.
And Brevin Jordan is that dude. He's that Kyle Pitts-like freak. Wants it.
And rookie tight ends always don't do well, but in New York, Daniel Bellinger, I don't know if you know, he's there kind of starting because they have nobody else. He's probably going to catch some passes.
Which is weird.
It was just super weird.
'Cause that guy was not on my radar, even in Debbie.
But weirdly, I
Even
do
if
kind of
Debbie
like
had another
Njoku. I think if you're going to sit on tight ends, because some people sit on quarterbacks, tight ends, whatever, I think he could be a guy. They
I
paid
really
him
am
to stay
like
there.
post-injury dude. Like we're sleeping on Robert Tonyan.
I was going to say, you're a big
Bobby
Tonyan
Bobby
guy.
T.
I mean, dude, there's 30 touchdowns to be had.
And
Who's
Rodgers,
having them?
Rodgers likes him.
Yeah,
They're
there's-
buddies.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the year, he will have a good stat line, but he's going to have a lot of 2 for
Yeah,
24.
which is classic tight ends
Yep.
anyway, those.
Yep, for sure.
I like Freemuth. I think he's an up-and-comer.
Yep,
Again,
he's
I have
on my
him
list.
I have him in Debbie, so that's my dude. But
That's how
I
you do
think
tight
he's-
ends, right? You get either Mark Andrews, Kelsey, or Pitts, and even Kelsey's on at some point he's going to hit the cliff.
I think Andrews.
And if you don't get one of those
I think
three-
Andrews had his career year, by the way. I would not overdraft Andrews.
Well,
Every year, someone.
what
out-
people forget is Tyler Huntley was responsible for a ton of those
Correct. He
catches.
was very
when Lamar
good.
was out.
Having another amazing preseason. Very good.
He doesn't
quarterback.
run as much as Lamar, so
Right.
there's more passing yards available.
Right.
Again, back to Bateman. When Lamar's in there, he doesn't pass as much,
And there's some
even if they call pass plays.
And Huntley was never throwing the deep ball to Hollywood. There's now going to be deep balls thrown to somebody, maybe player X that I don't even know on the Ravens.
Tyler Wallace.
Honestly, that's interesting. I think Pickens is a joke. I think that's a preseason hype. There's just too many balls to go around the Steelers. I like Sky Moore a lot,
Yeah.
but probably at his ADP, not warranted. Juju the same way. My gut feeling in Chiefs, it's going to be ridiculous to pick out which guy week to week,
Agreed.
which would lead me away to stay away from those guys. Yet I'm a ceiling guy. You want a ceiling guy? Mahomes could pick Juju. Mahomes could pick Sky Moore, and they could be 90-ball guys, right?
So
What about MVS?
out.
Oh,
Cooper
You-
Kupp.
He will have a game or two.
Everybody's
but
familiar with.
McCall Hardman. He's
Yep,
McCall Hardman,
yep.
right?
Everybody's familiar with Cooper Kupp, right? I remember when he
Yeah.
came out, I hated him. I hated him based on how old he was. I hated him because he just didn't look the part, right? Whatever you want to call that. You know who reminds
White
me
guy
of him?
hype.
White guy hype, right? Brings his lunch pail, hard worker, all the stuff. Alec Pierce from Indianapolis
Sure.
might be the next Cooper Kupp. Might
Yep.
be. But I like Michael Pittman too much to put him up. But in Dynasty or if you're playing
Right.
futures,
I liked him as a
Again,
back
I
here.
don't have
Worked out
Alex Pierce
pre-draft.
on my radar at all. Like I would be in the fourth round and be like, I don't know who that is.
did you know that Ryan Walsh, shout out Ryan Walsh, him and I did a mock draft at the strategic meeting for the yard leaders, and we had Zach Tom, Romeo Dubes, and Devontae Wyatt all on the Packers.
Really?
Yeah, we hit 3 of them.
Mock drafts, if you are new to fantasy or want to get better at fantasy, my son Marcus, who's 12, did 40 of them before the auction draft. They are free, and honestly, they are usually worth it. Whatever weird dude's logging on to do a free mock draft, they start usually like in the minute you do it, and you just
Yep.
go through 6-7 rounds and get a feel.
Yep.
If you want to get better at this, you're not real good, and you want to get better, and your draft is in a 3-4 days if you're watching this, do a couple mocks. It really helps. You see where guys fall and where they don't fall.
So you're not reaching, right? If I really like this guy, I don't got to take him in the fourth.
Yeah,
He's
like
there
where
in the
is
seventh.
Romeo
every single-
Dobbs going, right?
Yep.
Like in a
Yep.
real world.
That gets dangerous if you think it's always going to fall there, right? One guy picks him ahead, you're like, damn, I was taking him in the 8th. Now what do I do?
I mocked
Yeah.
this 47 times. He's always there.
I always go around ahead of ADP because then I get my guys.
Around ahead to get your guys,
Yeah.
but again, at least you don't take in Dobbs in the second because they're like, oh, I think that's where I think I should get him. You don't get overhyped. All right, so we aren't doing kickers, we aren't doing defense.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah, quarterbacks. That's where we're going next.
Well, just my theory on quarterbacks, I always wait because you get a couple dudes, and it's never the same QB1 year after year. That's very
Right.
rare. So I always wait. I wait for the Russell Wilson in the 8th or 9th round, whatever. Fill up my roster, get my quarterback later. They're always available.
I wait, but I do think the NFL is changing. These running back quarterbacks, because I play against them in fantasy leagues,
Mhm.
they win weeks.
Mhm.
So Jalen Hurts is your guy.
Trey Lance is my guy.
Trey Lance.
Who again I have in Debbie, so again it's probably very selfish, but those
So
dudes.
what does it go? It goes Mahomes and Allen, Rodgers, Herbert, and those are your top 4.
No, I don't think
Lamar.
Rodgers would
No,
at all.
Rodgers isn't even
Again,
in the top
I'm
10.
more running
I'm
guys.
around here, yeah. Jalen Hurts is not. I say this, he's not a good football player, but he's good at fantasy, and he puts
Fourth
up.
quarter dumpster dive, yeah.
Yep. To your point, I love Russell. You can wait, but if for some reason Josh Allen's available in the 4th round, I'm taking him all day long. It doesn't happen.
I'm taking Trey Lance. Okay, so I'm taking Trey Lance top 5. That would be my above.
Top 5
ADP.
quarterback?
Right,
Oh,
for
shoot.
fantasy. I really think he's going to have 15 I think he's the new Cam Newton in a better offense, and I think he can sling it a little better.
So I'm cool with that, but then I would take like a Kirk Cousins way late for free, just in case by week 3 he's a dumpster fire. You've got something
That's
to
back
fall
to
back
Andy's
on.
point. I take Trey Lance high, which, again, high does not mean 3rd or 4th round.
Right.
I'm looking at my 4th wide receiver or a huge upside quarterback, and I can waiver wire a quarterback if it doesn't work.
100%.
Where are you in quarterback? Just wait.
Whatever.
Nothing?
I get my other
Yeah,
stuff
nothing.
filled, and if there's a value, like, say, I don't know.
Who's going to go above ADP, though? Like, let's play the game. Who's going to go above their position? Who's going to have a
It
good
seems
year?
like it's always the same guys. It's Rodgers, Stafford,
Brady.
Brady. Like, so you wait for those guys. Even Cousins.
Because
Cousins is
they're
actually
boring.
a pretty good.
Can we throw Stafford in there?
Did I say Stafford? Did I
You
say
did.
Stafford? Yeah,
I
Stafford.
think
Yep, yep, 100%.
I think they're boring, right? They're not
They're
the sexy
horribly
Kyler
boring.
Murray. They're not the sexy, but they just throw up numbers.
They don't run, but they're so consistent, and you're going to get for what you pay
Maybe
for them to build out the
25
rest of your
touchdowns,
to build out the
22
rest of your
points.
roster. Once you get your roster built out, whoever's next, like that guy's going to be
Right.
good. Just pick him.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Where
Whatever.
does Mac Jones fit in?
Doesn't.
He's not.
Waiver wire, plug and play.
Well, I do it this way, right? So one thing that I think about sometimes is if you're valuing the 2 wide receivers, if you value Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp really high, how are you not valuing Stafford high? Right? I mean, if you think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are the GOATs, well then Joe Burrow should be the GOAT. So I have a little problem with that guy because I don't think he's got.
But going back to your
I think he's got wide receivers.
going back to your running comment, if you get Lamar Jackson runs for 1,000 yards, that's out the window.
That's out the windows, but again, traditional throwing quarterbacks, they better have good wide receivers.
Marcus, you got 3 experts here. You got to have some. You got to get something out of this too. What do you want to know?
Well, I found out today I gotta set up a league for the office, so as long as I beat you, I'm just getting all your intel, I'll just keep taking it here and see what happens.
Tell me more. No questions? You don't have questions for us?
No, I got mine answered.
That's right.
People pay for this.
All right, peace out, everybody. Listen to Pod 65. Good luck in your fantasy leagues. Drexel reminder: go out and have fun. Life is short. Play hard, people. Go get it. Have some fun.
Little pink ring.